We need to have a national conversation about national conversations. No, just kidding. No, there's a number of things on my mind today, and one of them has to do with pro-life persuasion fails. Right now, there is a viral clip of a Catholic priest in conversation with a woman named Lila Rose, I believe, of Live Action. And her claim, of course, is that men don't need sex, is what she is saying. Okay, this is what she is saying. And she's going mega viral about it. And of course, she is saying, look at celibate priests and monks. They don't need it. Neither does my husband. And not just Lila Rose, but a number of other characters, female conservative influencers, whom we're calling womanfluencers now. Just that there's a difference between a boss and a girl boss, boss and lady boss, priest and lady priest. There's a difference between an influencer and a womanfluencer. Okay, so the Christian womanfluencers are all coming out saying, in support of Lila Rose, they are saying things like, absolutely, men can be perfectly celibate. My husband never touches me. He's so pure. If that's a new slur for gay, then okay. In any case, the issue that Michael Cernovich, having done the due diligence on Lila Grace and Live Action, what you realize by reading his analysis is the problem with every nonprofit, which is that they exist to continue existing. If the problem is solved, then there's nothing for them to advocate for. There's nothing to do fundraise on. There's no gala circuits. There's no red carpet tours. There's no 5-figure speeches to get paid to give when you win. There is a much larger conversation to be had here about the religious right. They always talk about the virtue of chastity for men, never the virtue of obedience for women, interestingly enough. And what it really shows is that sexuality is being used for control. But it's a sleight of hand hiding that beneath Christian virtue. You might recall in the New Testament, Paul, in various epistles, upon advising the very first Christians how to be in marriage functionally, he tells men to love their wives' bodies like they love their own bodies. So you say, hey, the same way that you take care of yourself, take care of her. Okay? Basic stuff. And in the same way as the man does that, woman, you respect, submit to, and obey your husband. Now, I grew up in evangelical Christianity. Every church, every preacher, every sermon, every book, every podcast, in those days, radio and TV, they always read the part that's for the men. And they, at least I don't recall, ever hearing the second part for the women. So men grow up thinking, Christian men, particularly Protestants, grow up, okay, I am looking for a woman to take care of. That is my job. And then the woman, Christian woman, grows up thinking, I am looking for a man to take care of me. I am looking for a man to serve me. I am looking to a man to communicate my needs to, so that he will do his due Christian diligence and meet all of my needs, and he will be my servant. And then you mention obedience, and they're like, why would I obey my servant? Why would I submit to my slave? Oh, you see, that part is not explicitly communicated. That's rough. That's rough. The religious right has some problems. You might notice how Lila Rose, and I believe it was her, she advocated for not voting for Donald J. Trump because he wasn't pro-life enough. The man who was behind the Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe versus Wade? Really? Defunding Planned Parenthood? That one? He's not pro-life enough? Really? There were a number of other characters besides Lila Rose, like a man named Steve Deese, I think was his name, who were protesting Trump for not being sufficiently religiously, morally, ethically right-wing or something like that. Conservative, yeah, traditionally, socially conservative. And yet he gets more points on the board than any of these organizations ever have, as far as we can tell. So what do we have here? There's an account, an anonymous account. He's followed me for about 7 years, by the way, named Bronze Age Pervert, at Bronze Age Mantis on X, formerly Twitter. And he has been pointing out for about 7 years now, that's as long as he has been following me and vice versa, that the religious right is cooked. The religious right cannot lead the future of the right wing. It must be the secular right. And where do we see that? We see that in the salvation of Spain from the murderous communists with their Soviet supporters. It was a military uprising led by Francisco Franco, who was pretty much a secular leader. He allowed the Catholic Church to do as they pleased. And he, in fact, rescued the Catholics who were being rounded up and tortured and murdered and mutilated and whatnot. Okay? But he was a secular leader. What do we see with Donald J. Trump? He's a secular leader and who in many ways advances religious right causes that the religious right is unable to advocate for themselves. So you see what we're observing here? In a time of when everyone is talking about being Christian nationalist and Christo-fascist, that's what people call me, I don't think we can have an explicitly Christian nation because every denomination wants power. The Founding Fathers figured that out a long time ago, by the way, where they allowed each state to have their own official state religion, but there's not going to be one single unified religion for the entire country. Each state could have its own state constitution where we're going to be this country, we're going to be this state with this religion, this official church for this state. Maryland, of course, was Catholic. Maryland? Oh, you didn't know that? Maryland. Maryland? Oh, Maryland. Oh, Maryland. Right. Interesting, isn't it? So I think there's a larger point to be made about this, which is when one side is advocating for one position or one point or one thing, and you introduce something like an attempt at fairness, and they buck, then they don't actually care about fairness. They care about power. So it's a little power test, you might say. I think we can learn from this. It's not even about results. It's about power. It's about cash money, but really power, because cash money gives you power. That you can buy power with cash money. That's what feminism, Christian feminism that I grew up with, it was about power. Women having power over men and using Christianity to wield that power. And I think we see this today where really it's a lot of conservative womanfluencers who have homosexual closeted husbands. And they're using this to teach women how to have power over men in a Christian marriage otherwise. And that's why the religious right cannot be the leader of the new right. Absolutely not. No. Now, what I am saying is that there can be Christians, there can be religious people, but as explicitly, we are going to be this one religion, this one version of Christianity, you have to have this doctrinal test that you pass before entering into the Republican Party. Nope. Ronald Age Pervert was right. What a strange name. I don't know why he has the pervert in there. On his bio for years has been aspiring nudist bodybuilder. Anyway, his book is one of the strangest written things I've ever seen. Anyway, we can talk about that later.